Alright, crisis averted. That would have sucked ass if I totally bricked a brand new battery. Oh man, I do not need another setback. Hey-o, concrete slab. Garage is coming along. We'll be able to work on this thing in peace and quiet here shortly. Not really, because it's going to be forever before we actually get this. All this crap moved into the garage. But anyway, I think what I'm going to do is move most of the floor mats back in, at least on this side. Forecast says there's a very slight chance of rain tomorrow. So at the very least, I'm going to close the trunk. And I guess close the doors. I'll leave the hood open. I'm not worried about the hood. It's been a warm day. As you can see, I'm sunburnt and my sleeves are rolled up. It was like 80 today. You know, just regular old Charleston. It was 40 last week. It's 80 this week. Anyway, of course, today was the day I was outside working. But I'm gonna put the carpets back in and pretend we didn't go through any of this ordeal. Look at that. Luxurious. Alright, well, I have officially fucking given up. Came in this morning, inch of water sitting in that fucking channel over there on the frame, so that is never going to be fixed. So I've just put the carpets back in and we're gonna fucking deal with it. And then first thing I did was snap the hood latch off. Not only did the cable break off, but then the fucking arm broke off of the damn firewall. So now I've got a vice grip on it, on the cable. And we're just gonna have to work out something so that this thing never fucking latches again, so that I can always get the damn hood open. Great. Anyway, I finally made a toolbox with some actual tools in it, and I've stuffed all of my specialty stuff in it, so I actually have a decent toolbox out here for the time being. And we're gonna make an attempt to change the differential fluid today, and at the very least drain the transmission. I'm not gonna have time to work on the radiator because Mom's truck blew a wheel cylinder, so we're gonna have to leave early today and head back to the house and fix all of that before tomorrow morning, because I have a meeting I can't miss and everybody else has work. So great, awesome. There goes a weekend. I only had like one weekend for the next 2 months. So I guess we're never going to work on this fucking car. But anyway, we're going to work on something today. We're going to do something. Get fucking greasy. I don't give a shit right now. God, this fucking wind. I'm just going to get covered in this shit, aren't I? I hate gear oil. Oh, fuck you. That's thin and smelly. Oh, that's one goddamn bottle in and it ain't leaking out yet. Oh, well, anyway, we got all that shit back together and probably took 1.2 liters. And yeah, I'm about to fucking throw up. God, I hate gear oil. It smells like ass. Anyway, now we're going to drain the transmission because I'm a fucking glutton for punishment. With this damn wind, there's absolutely no way we're working on the radiator because that hood's going to fall down and either one, latch, and then I have to fight it to get it back open because the hood latch is, or the fucking hood release lever and cable are broken, or it's going to brain me and knock me out and I'm going to be furious and I'm going to put my fist through the damn window, and one, I'm going to slice my hand all to fuck, and two, I'm going to break a window. So we're just not going to touch the radiator today, but we're at least going to make an attempt to drain the transmission, just because I've got this thing here and I'm already greasy, so why the fuck not? I guess I'll get covered in transmission oil too. God damn, this wind is fucked today. Alright, there goes transmission fluid. That wasn't too bad, and hopefully, well, there's supposed to be like nearly 7 liters that come out of this, or 6.6 quarts, whatever the fuck it was. So hopefully this doesn't get everywhere as much, hopefully. Keyword. Alright, new trans filter is in. God, was that nerve-wracking with all this fucking sand and wind, but it's in. Bunch of fucking mouse turds came out of something. I think they came out of the old filter. I don't know if that's old stop leak or something, but it's kind of worrying. All I know is it's got transmission fluid on it, so it didn't come out of the new filter. I think. I hope. So anyway, I'm gonna go get the pan and put that back on, and pray for me that I don't drop it in the damn sand. Well, the tranny panny is back on and torqued to 10 foot-pounds. I think it was supposed to be 14 newton meters, but good fucking God. Wind. Anyway, I think it was supposed to be 14 Newton meters, but I don't do none of the metric shit, so we're just going to go with 10 foot-pounds because it's too much and not just enough. And I got just the right amount of sand all up inside of here, so this should be nice and mineralized now. Alright, well, I'm a glutton for punishment, so I've taken the hose that goes from the heater core to the top of the block, or maybe it's a bypass, I don't know, but it empties out into the head, and I've hooked up, just jammed this fitting into it that I use to flush the heater core on my Jeep. Got that hooked up to the garden hose, and then I've got the outlet going to the radiator just sort of jammed into this PVC male-to-male connector, and then I've got this old upper radiator hose from Mom's truck that I have done things to, and this one's all fucked anyway, so it's just spare hose I kept around. And we got this little guy right here just so that we can see some of the chunks coming out, hopefully. And I have a feeling that might have something to do with the overheating issue because that's the inside of the heater core. And yeah, sludgy. So we're going to jam some water in here, see what happens, and then once it starts to run clear, I think we'll hook this back up and then we'll jam more water in there and see if something comes out of there. Alright. So I've got a second valve in line with this. So don't gotta run, but let's see. Well, we got water, and we don't got water. It's probably not the best sign. I think something's messed up actually. Stand by. Okay, I just had that nozzle tightened. But look at that brand new water pump. It has already rusted to shit, and it's not even been in this car 2 months. That's some great quality. At least it was $17. Let's see what the fuck happens. That's an interesting noise. Oh yeah. That's doing some good. Oh hey, yeah, that's broken too. Lovely. So we're just gonna let that go for a while. And yeah. Then I think we'll hook it back up and see if we can blow shit out there. That smells terrible. Also, I haven't drained the flush yet, so it's probably pushing all that out of there too. Alright, thermostat's out. Housing is closed back up. That line is on. Haven't put on the hose clamp. We're going to hook this up and see what happens. Oh, it's just going to fill up the expansion tank. Well, heck. It's not that important. Well, at least I know an easy way to fill up the engine. Well, that's all back together. I was not able to flush anything out of the heater core, which was to be expected because of the auxiliary pump and the solenoid in the series, but that's a good thing. I did pressurize the system, and there was quite a bit of pressure, and I didn't hear it leaking anywhere, so that's actually a good sign. The system holds pressure by some miracle. Anyway, thermostat's back in. There's a little channel right here, a little hole, like a little 1/4 inch, maybe 3/16 hole right here, and I cleared it out from here all the way to about there. I was hitting metal, and it was just packed full of some kind of jellified coolant or something. It was the consistency of clay. It was like halfway between like clay and caulk. It was nasty. But anyway, here's some of the antique pottery I pulled out of the heater core. As you can see, very large and quite hard. And yeah, there's just a whole bunch of those. Pulled all those out at just the first couple of inches. So suffice it to say, this car is never going to have heat because I am not pulling that heater core out. Awesome. Which means not only will I have 2 cars without heat, I also can't use that in a pinch in case this thing starts to overheat. So that's fantastic. So I think I'm done for the day. We're just going to pack everything up and just fucking hope replacing the radiator helps. because I'm kind of out of options at this point. Yeah, see, that ain't ever a good sign. Wheel cylinder time. Ooh, yeah. That ain't so good, but at least we know what it is, and it's that guy right there. Oh, the drum just came off. I didn't even have to beat it. Well, Mom's out testing it. This is some beautiful brake fluid. Another day, another donut. It didn't even take me an hour and 45 minutes, plus going to the parts store. And it appears to work just fine. We'll tell in the morning if there's another puddle. Well, I got the calipers, measured it. It's a 1/16 cable. And I've just grabbed a ferrule stop, or wire cable stop, whatever you want to call them. And I've just crimped that on with a set of wire crimpers and vice grips. And she works. I have tested it, pops the hood. And I'm gonna make a handle that I can slip over the back of this so I can have something to just pull like that, like how it is on the Corvette. That's all there is to it. That was, thankfully, an easy fix. So here's what I cobbled together for a handle, so let's see if that works. Anyway, that didn't work. Ripped the ferrule off, had to put it back on. Turns out the hood has to have like some kind of upward pressure or downward pressure and then upward pressure in order to open. So well, one, this didn't work, so I took it off and then I stupidly shut the hood and then tried to test it and then couldn't, so I had to get it off. And then the reason it doesn't work is because it's up inside of here and you can't get 2 fingers on it to pull it. But anyway, so then I tried to pop it by grabbing the ferrule and then it just wouldn't pull. It wouldn't pull out all the way, so then I had to really yank on it or rip the ferrule off. So then I had to get vice grips on it, pull on it, and I couldn't get it to move. And then I had to get one of the 5-gallon buckets of rotten diesel and set it on the hood so that there was enough downward pressure to take the upward pressure of the hood off of the latch. So I've got to adjust the hood so that I could then pull this, then pull it all the way out. And then once I pulled it all the way out, I had to wedge a pair of pliers inside of the vice grip and into the door to hold the pliers out while I walked over and took the bucket off so that the hood could pop up and get in front of the latch. So hood latch needs adjustment, and I need to find like a 2-inch piece of pipe and cut a slot down it and then hook the pipe up to this and make something that looks sort of more like a T that'll stick out right here more or less and look horrible, which is what I originally wanted to do, but I saw this and figured it might work, and it didn't. But I'll need to have something with basically a little channel about 2 inches long sticking out the back of something roughly this shaped that I can then take in here and then set the ferrule in and then crimp it over around the back of the ferrule stop so that it grabs the back of that and then sticks out this far, and then I have 2 fingers I can grab on and yank. And then I'm gonna have to get in there and adjust all the hood hardware so that it's not as tight on the latch up front. Alright, out with the old, in with the new. This is my new incarnation after sitting around for a while and brainstorming. This is the best I could come up with. Luckily I had this nice piece of T-iron down there. I don't know what the hell it came off of, and it even had a hole right here. And what I've done is basically drill and tap 2 holes for 8 and 36, and then I found 2 bolts that fit that, and I just have a plate that's drilled with, I believe, 5/32 or something slightly similar to that, slightly oversized, that moves freely on these bolts. And I've got a gap under here, and the plan is to take out one of these bolts, slap this on the side of the wire, or run the wire through there, have the ferrule sitting semi over here in this channel, and then get the other bolt in, get it started, and then really honk down on this and have this sticking that way. Have it sticking that way out of the firewall, and so that I can access the screws either from this way or from this way, however I end up having to do it. And I can reach in there with my fingers and just grab this and yank on it. And hopefully this should clamp down onto the wire strong enough that I don't have to worry about it pulling on the back of the ferrule, but then it'll also hit the ferrule stop as well. So I'll have that extra amount, and this should hopefully work pretty good. I'm going to run to the hardware store and I'm going to try and find some better bolts that aren't these that are out of like a fan or something. Like get some proper like high carbon steel like gun bolts or something, or yeah, gun screws of some shape and form. And we'll Loctite this, maybe throw a lock washer on it or something. I don't know, but I want this son of a bitch to be taut. Alright, so I jammed a brad nail in here as a stand-in, and it's roughly the same diameter. It's 1/16 of an inch. And if you see, I can go like this, and it doesn't move. You know, I'm gonna flip the table over before I pull that out, and hopefully that should clamp onto that wire just the same. And especially with that ferrule stop jammed right down here in this hole, bent up at a slight angle, this should be more than enough to be able to open the damn hood on that Mercedes. Well, anyway, the hardware store I went to didn't have, I think they only had one 8x36 screw that had a head on it in the entire store, and it was a 1-inch flathead gun screw. And I think that's probably worse than what I have, because the Phillips will allow me to put a lot more torque on it than the flathead will, especially in the tight corner I'm using, or tight corner I got to jam this into. So I just decided to stick with these, and I just trimmed that much off the back end of each of them. And we're going to run with these, and we'll see if it works, and hopefully it does, and then we'll never have to worry about it again. Alright, so my camera won't rotate, but we're just going to run with it anyway. So here is the hood latch, and I have it installed, and as you can see, I can pull it out, and it goes back in, and it appears to be working just how I want it to. And now we're going to do the dumb thing, which is latch the hood, and see if it'll actually work. Alright, no going back from there. It either works or I rip the ferrule off. Let us see. Yeah. It's still extremely tight for no given reason. And yeah. But it's not ripping the ferrule off, it's just for whatever reason it doesn't want to give up the ghost. So I'm not certain what the cause of that is. That's a new development. Oh, there we are. I think I did it. Yep, that's extremely sketchy, but it does work now. So I can check that off the list. Now I just need to adjust the hood. And yeah, that actually doesn't look too terrible. What am I kidding? Everything else looks terrible. And floor's wet again. Rained a lot. So I'm not seeing any standing water. It looks like it's just running onto the carpet and soaking everything, so that's nice. Great, but at least it's not pooling. Alright, today's the day. It's radiator day. Just kidding, not really. I gotta hit a major setback, so not gonna do it for another fucking month. Went to take the transcooler lines off, and I don't know why this thought didn't occur to me until just now, but these things don't pivot. This is the only one I was able to get off. This was the only side that actually freely spun. The other three are all seized. So can't get that hose off, and I'm gonna have to cut it to get it off because the things don't pivot. I can get this one off, but not that one. Also, probably shouldn't be reusing them if, you know, they have seized pivots, because they're probably going to fail. Also, radiator is in fact junk and will need to be replaced, because I went and beat on one of the lines to try and see if I could get one of the pivots to free and snap these two pieces of aluminum off of the transcooler. So, yep, radiator's getting replaced whether I like it or not. And I guess I'm finally having an excuse to buy a trans bolt, or a trans drain bolt, because I was going to have to pay like $10 shipping for a $2 bolt. And yeah, now I got this, so I got to buy trans cooler lines, so hopefully the place that sells the trans bolts also sells trans cooler lines. And we'll snag us a pair of them, and here in a month we'll get this fucking radiator done, because it takes them like 2 weeks to ship anything. Well, I kind of didn't want to work on it today anyway, and I got a bunch of shit I got to do this month, so I guess it's a blessing in disguise. But I'm going to let this drip just a little bit more, stick that guy back on, and yeah, just not do this today. Maybe we'll work, maybe we'll do the air cleaner mounts. Who knows? But we ain't doing the radiator today. I'm at least going to pull it out of the box and make sure it's the correct one so that I can return it if I have to. Well, it does appear to be the right radiator. It's got clip mounts, upper rad hose, overflow, transcooler lines, outflow for the, I think those are swapped. That's the outflow for the inflow for the overflow tank and the lower radiator hose. They did give me a hose clamp though for the overflow, which is nice because I'm pretty sure mine's going to break the second I torque on it. Seems chintzier than I expected. Let me look at them hoses real quick. No, they are swapped. Okay, I just remembered wrong. But it looks shitty, because it is. It's the cheapest one I could get, because I was thinking just about money at the time, but it's actually a good thing, because if there's a whole lot of crap in there that decides to dislodge and jam into the radiator and I have to replace this again, I would much rather replace a $130 radiator than a $200 Nissan, or whatever, however it's spelled. Sounds like it's pronounced Nissan, but it's not. Anyway, so I bought the cheapest, I think it's 80 PI Pro radiator I could get, and as you can see, it looks chintzy, feels chintzy. It's already banged up. Cheap, thin aluminum, but if it gets plugged, no big deal. I'll save 50% replacing it. And if it just decides to blow up anyway, well, the car is probably going to blow up anyway, so whatever. But anyway, I'm going to go shopping again, buy some transcooler lines and a drain plug, and figure out what other garbage I can buy, and if I bought a windshield wiper sprayer nozzle thing yet or not. Who knows? We'll see. Alright, it is now radiator day, I hope. I pray. We have transcooler lines, and 2 new transmission drain bolts, and 1 crush washer. I at least think that's what that's for. I don't know what those are for. And we're going to attempt to drain the torque converter. I'm fairly confident I'm going to round that out, and I'm also very confident I'm not going to be able to get vice grips on it. But we'll just preemptively hit it with the propane torch for a while, and then pop it free and see if we can drain it. If we can, great. We'll get it out, and we'll replace it with this one and the crush washer, and then I'll go buy some more crush washers and do the one on the pan. And we won't fill the transmission today, but we will get that radiator out, I hope. Well, without too much trouble, I was actually able to free all of the pivots with just a set of ice grips and adjustable wrench. I didn't really even take much force at all. I just barely clamped down it on the vice grips just so that it was holding on, not enough to, crush anything, and just gave it a spin, and they all freed up just like that. So I think I was just looking for an excuse last week to work on something else. And yeah, so both of those are now free, although I think that one over there is leaking, the far one. So anyway, we're going to replace them anyway because I already bought them, and I don't want to feel bad about wasting $40 on those. And for the first time in this entire project, I'm actually smart enough to get my headlamp for this, and wear safety goggles so I don't get my eyes filled with boiling transmission fluid. So let's go. Well, with a 1 16 inch socket on the crank bolt, we're able to, get the torque converter bolt to show, and we're going to hit that with the propane torch and try not to set the car on fire, and hope that comes out. Well, that actually came out with exactly the correct amount of torque. I didn't even have to put the torch on it. I just put about 10-12 foot-pounds on it, just with the little wrench, and it came right out, and it's draining. And that's probably a little less than a quart so far. So I'm sure there's a lot more in the torque converter than there normally is because the car's sloped forward, but I need to get up into the car and remove the dipstick so it can drain without doing that. As anticipated, there was way more transmission fluid in there than I thought. That's at least 2 quarts. So that probably puts us close to like 5, maybe even 6 quarts. And I think from a full drain like this, including the torque converter, it should be about 7. So it was a little low, about as low as I expected, but not as low as I was thinking, which is good. I'm glad that it was only a couple quarts low. It probably has never been changed, so that would make sense, unless it was changed right before it was shipped down to Charleston. That would make sense, about 100,000. But anyway, tied up the hood with some shot lines so that I don't have to go to the ER today when that falls on my head. And pulling the dipstick didn't help at all. And yeah, we're gonna start getting this radiator out, I guess. We'll pop the transcooler lines off first, make sure I can get both of them off, break all my hoses off, take the fan off, pull the shroud out, and then I think just 2 clips and the radiator should... Oh yeah, and I got to do everything for the oil cooler. I don't remember if there's a bolt down there or not, but get that off. And this oil cooler is kind of in rough shape, and it probably needs to be pressure washed out, but I'm not going to mess with it. It's pretty beefy. And so yeah, without any further ado, I'm going to get to that and shut my mouth. New torque converter drain bolt is in, and as you can see, it's already trying to round out on me. I torqued it to exactly 10 foot-pounds. I think it recommends 14 newton meters, which is 10 foot-pounds. So that's what I've done. And yeah, that's probably not going to come out. I wish they would just make these out of hardened steel, like just tool steel. It's not that hard. I mean, it is that hard, but you know, the machining isn't that much. I mean, if you're going to charge me $1 for a drain bolt, charge me $1.50 and make it out of hardened steel. Come on now. I mean, they can make drywall screws for like a penny. You can make a drain bolt for like $2. It's, you know, tool steel. Alright, so I've just installed the torque converter drain bolt and crush washer back onto the drain pan and removed the one that was originally from the transmission, just because the crush washer is gone on this. Come on, camera. Come on. It's gone. So that might have one more go left in it. We'll see. It looks like it's squished pretty dang good. I'm going to clean it up with the rag and really dry it out, hit it with some carb cleaner or something, I don't think I have any here, but anyway, just get as much oil off of there as possible. Let it sit for a week, and if it looks like it's, if there's stuff seeping out, like as you can see how it's been doing here, which clearly illustrates that this crush washer is gone, then we'll go in there and we'll replace it. I mean, you know, it's only going to cost me like, I think I have to buy like 10, but it'll be $5. It's only like 50 cents for a crush washer. It's just, yeah, I'm lazy and cheap, so just gonna wipe that up. Then we're gonna move on to the transcooler lines here. Transcooler lines are out, and they're all free for the most part. I think, yeah, that one's very free. This one, that one's very free. And it has one side that is sticky, but it still turns. It just doesn't want to free up. So we're just going to save them because I've saved every single part I pulled off of this thing just in case something blows up in emergency and just so I remember what I've done. And we're just going to put the new ones on partially, just so that they're there. All right. New radiator is seated. Old radiator is out. And as you can tell, yeah, it's a done. It's there. I can't see through the veins, so that was probably the crux of the cooling issue. Also, it feels about twice as heavy, so probably just full of rocks. And yeah, I think I might cut that in half with a reciprocating saw just to look at the veins eventually. But right now we're going to focus on this guy. And we got that out and this in, mostly unscathed. Did break one bolt on the oil cooler, or on the transmission engine oil cooler. So there is a captive nut, which as you can see has escaped, on the back of these brackets that hold the oil cooler onto the radiator, and I snapped the bottom one off. Well, it broke off of the bracket, and then I was able to bend this piece of this whatever this is, bash bar, snow diverter down and get a 10mm socket on it, and then I turned it and then I just snapped the bolt off. So no biggie, we'll just have a non-captive bolt on the back, and I'll just have to go buy another one of these, and we're just going to jam it in there for now just so that I can make sure everything lines up, because I had to remove these from the old radiator and put them on here, so they're just this may need to come right back out and that lower one get massaged, but I think they line up. Alright, everything's back together except one small hiccup. There's plastic flashing down in here, if y'all can make that out, and I can't get the clip back in. I was able to do it on this side. This side was wider, but they didn't clean up the flashing on that side. Also, the new radiator is about a quarter inch taller, so I'm just barely able to get that clip on there. So I'm not able to get this one down in here. I'm not able to get this tail through here. So I'm gonna have to get a drill bit, or hopefully if I can find a jeweler's file and clean that up. Well, I wasn't able to find a jeweler's file, but I was able to find a regular file, and I just turned it over and used the pointed tip and just jammed it in there and went like that. and it freed right up. It was just flashing in there. It wasn't like the mold was off. They just didn't clean the hole out, and got that clip in. So the radiator is back together, all the hoses are on, transmission cooler lines are on. Got the radiator cap off, and we're just going to fill this up with water today, and let it sit and just verify that it isn't leaking. The short hose down there does leak when cold. I'm not going to tighten those hose clamps because I guarantee if I put any torque on them, they're going to snap. And I can't easily buy that short hose. It's like a special size, it's like a metric size hose. It's not like regular 3/4 inch pipe. It's like something, it's something dumb. It's like 18 millimeter or something, or like 20 millimeter or something like that. So we're not going to touch that unless we have to. Also because I have to take that thing off of the block up here. I don't want to do that. So we're just going to dump some city water in here and let it sit for a week along with the transmission and verify that nothing is leaking. And when that's all good, then we'll drain that out of there, drain the water out, put some coolant in, do a 50-50, and fill up the transmission, take her off the blocks, and try and get everything running, and hopefully she'll run cool. I'm convinced this was the problem, since it weighs like an extra 2 pounds, and it looks like that, and I can hold this thing. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. I can hold her up to the sun, and you can't really see through that. All of that went in my eyes. So I think it was mostly just flow through the radiator. And yeah, don't know why I just stared at the sun. The fuck is that? Dog kibble? That just came out of the radiator. Yeah, I'm glad I changed this thing. Good Lord. When I said this was a cheap radiator, I meant it. They did not waste 1 millimeter on this damn hose clamp. I couldn't use it because I would basically have to undo the hose clamp, put it on, and then put it back together, squeeze it back together and get the screw started again. Because they couldn't just give me like a hose clamp that was like an extra 1/4 inch longer. So that's how cheap a radiator I got. Alright, well, we put about 2 3/4 gallons in there, and we're a little bit above the fill line, but the car's also tilted forward, so we'll just say it's good enough. It's probably only over full by maybe a half a cup, maybe a cup. And so far, no leaks. Ignore that. That's from the overflow. At least as far as I can see, there's no leaks. Let's get under here and double check. I don't see any wet. So that's good. We'll call it good for now. Because I'm sick of dealing with this cooling system. So I guess I'm going to go try and hang up the muffler, because I got some donuts, and I want to see if I can get it hung with only 2 donuts. But before we move on to the next rabbit hole, most importantly today, what we've done is we've replaced the driver's side windshield washer fluid sprayer nozzle, which is black instead of chrome, which will bug me, except it won't, because I don't care. And yeah, I just pushed on one side of the clip with a screwdriver and it exploded. I wonder if this chrome piece comes off. I might be able to stick that on there. We'll play around, we'll see about that. But anyway, the next thing I need to do is find where I put them. Try and get some exhaust donuts on. Because as you recall, this car is a dragon because she was fucking dragging the muffler. And I hung up the exhaust with coat hangers. And the way that this exhaust normally hangs up is you get these rubber donuts. Let me get one out for you. You have the exhaust like that, and you have these 2 little hooks, and you take these rubber donuts, and you stick it on either side of the hook, and they're fairly firm, but not hyper firm. And these hold up the muffler, except when it's 35 years old and it sits in the ground and the muffler deletes, they fall off. And normally you have 2 on the back, 1 there, 1 on the other side, and then another 2 back here at the very end. My muffler's not here, and maybe one day I'll get a new muffler made, or maybe one day I'll learn how to weld and I'll just weld a pipe from here to the other end of the old muffler, and which has the bracket on it, and hang it up. But what I'm going to try and do today is put these guys back on here in place of these coat hangers, and we'll see if that's enough to hold up the exhaust system. It may not be enough, and just sort of as like insurance, I may leave part of the coat hanger on here, just have one coat hanger going around this and up here, and that'll make a bunch of clanging and clacking noises. And yeah, but I'm going to make an attempt to hang it up with these. Sometimes you need a special tool. I have this thing that I made, which I don't think is going to work, but the whole point is you take it, you put it on the top, and then you shove this guy down in here, and you fold it over like that and peel it off, and hopefully this will work, but let's give it a shot. And I'm going to try and not take a shard of muffler into the eyeball. Alright, well, that's done, and it didn't quite bite me as much as expected. Great. I also I broke off the big chunk of metal just so that it doesn't slap the bottom of the car. And yeah, there's a hole here too, so there's no point in me ever putting a muffler back on here unless, you know, I patch this up somehow, and it's pretty thin. I thought this, you know, rusted or drug out when I was driving it back, but with how thin it is, it actually rusted out before that, so I didn't do that. I just exposed it a little more. It had already rusted through. So the best thing I can really just do is, like, I don't know, maybe weld something onto that, although I'm sure that would fail very quickly. I'll just stuff this full of JB Weld, and then weld something onto the end of this, and then weld like just a pipe, just a straight pipe down to there, maybe with a bend at the end, and then weld, or I guess the back of the old muffler has a bend on it, so I just need to weld the back of the old muffler onto a pipe, and then I fix that pipe here so I can hang the muffler up back there. And yeah, something, we'll figure it out in 40 years or whenever the hell I learn to weld. Well, I'm replacing the air cleaner mounts, and no real issues there. It looks like these have been done before, because two of these are like hex shaped. They've got little metal end caps that are 3/4 inch / 19 millimeter, and that's the only OEM one, and that was the only one that was still had a, you know, both sides attached to it. And it looks like they self-tap into this bracket, and that one was all walled out, so I've taken an M6 nut and put it on the bottom, and there's no lock washer on it, so that'll vibrate off, but I'll try and over torque it a little bit more. And yeah, I've cleaned out the air cleaner as best I can, cleaned off the top of it, cleaned as much of the crap out of here as I am willing to. I know it looks bad, but it was way worse. And we're just going to try and sit this guy right back on. Tighten all those up. Luckily I had spare M6 nuts that I bought when I was looking for a wing nut. And that worked out because I had 3 of them, and I need 3 of them because I needed 2 for this guy and 1 for the oil cooler, so that works out. And yeah, I've adjusted that hose clamp so I can access it, so I can actually torque that down. So that it's, you know, not just there, and I can pull it off to spray ether in. And I'm gonna put it back on there. I need another one of these O-rings because that's no longer an O-ring, but we're gonna leave it on there for now, and hopefully it doesn't fall into the oil pan and seize up the oil pump or something. And yeah, I don't know if there's some sort of valve in here or something. It probably is. I think this is EGR. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm assuming so, since it's the only thing in the air cleaner, and this has EGR. So I'm assuming that's EGR, so we'll probably get another one of those if it's like 15-20 bucks. And yeah, I'm gonna just throw all this back in. I don't know why one of those is bronze, but it has like a lock washer sort of set up on it. Yeah, Pelican Parts just keep sending me like 2 different styles of parts from the same manufacturer, like the transcooler lines. One of them was electro-galvanized and the other one was like strawed. So I don't know, but we're not going to care. Alright, air cleaner's back in, and she's looking snazzy, and she is rock solid now. No more running around. And I've torqued this down so this stays on. And it's going to make starting it a little bit harder, because we're just going to have to dump ether into here and crank it for forever. But we'll make do. And went underneath, no water, no ATF. I think we're good to fill the transmission. I'm just going to put 4 quarts in. Just for now, just to, you know, let it all settle for a week, and then we'll come back next week and we'll take it off of the blocks and we'll get it fired up and we'll start filling the transmission. I think I probably only had, well, let's see, I had that whole green thing, which I think holds a half gallon. I don't know, I'll need to check, but it was full up to the lip. This guy is about Well, it's a little more, that's everything in it, and it's a little more than half full. Maybe not quite 2/3, maybe 2/3, and this is a 10 quart. So that's probably 6 quarts, which should be as much as came out. Well, I drained the cooler, the torque converter, and the pan, and I pulled the pan. So I think normally 6.6 quarts is what's supposed to come out. So I probably got practically everything. I think the total capacity is close to 8 quarts. So it may take both of my jugs, it may not, but I think for now I'm just going to put 4 quarts in it. Go sit on it for a week, do more research, figure out how much I actually put in there. Oh yeah, and there's also a quart of differential oil in there as well. The recycling center loves it when you mix oils together, so I'm going to make sure to put some brake clean and some engine oil in there as well as some compressor oil before I go dump it into the recycling thing. Don't do that. Don't be a dick. Like me, I'm a dick. But anyway, I'm just gonna dump 4 quarts in there, think on it for a week, and then we'll figure this out next week. Alright, so preemptively, I'm just trying to get this funnel to have an air escape on the side so it doesn't take forever for me to pour a gallon of transmission oil through a hole that small. So what I've done is I fluted the end of the funnel with a file, which isn't working, and then I took a piece of wire in the form of that bungee cord and I stuck it in there and then jammed the funnel in there so that it's held off just a little bit. And then I also just bent the end of the funnel in so that it was kind of crimped, and that didn't really work because it just popped back out. Ideally what you would get is, if this was the larger funnel, you'd take a drinking straw and you'd stick it down through the bottom and then tape it to the side of the funnel. But with this, it's much smaller. What you would want is like an 1/8 inch, like one of those vacuum lines or something like that, maybe a little bit smaller. And you just drop it down in there just so that it's just a little bit past the mouth, and then hang it out up here and tape it off. And that allows air to come back out so that when you pour in, the air can come out and the fluid can go down. The air can compress, the fluid cannot, so you need so you don't need as large an opening for the air as you do for the fluid. But that's the best I can do, and hopefully it doesn't, vacuum lock, and then I have all of this filled with transmission fluid. The other thing is this is not stable in here, and it won't really stay in. And I'm just gonna have to pull that out. And I don't want this to fall out like that and just dump transmission fluid everywhere. So I'm gonna have to hold that the entire time. So we're not gonna be filming this. The alternative is you can also pick this up just a little bit so that it can drain, but don't pick it up all the way, because if this comes out faster than that fills up, it'll go everywhere and you'll have to panic, stab it in there. And yeah, I'm just gonna fill it up. I'm gonna put 1 gallon in it, like I said, and we'll leave it there today. Well, I think the flutes work, because that went by without much trouble at all. I don't even think that took 60 seconds. So that's 1 gallon in, and I think I may go look at the owner's manual real quick and just, confirm, because I don't want to put too much in here. I have a vacuum sucker that I bought and haven't used. I think it was like $100 too, and I ended up not being able to use it for what I wanted it for. So I can suck fluid out of here if I want. I just don't want to have to. I might go dump another half in here. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe not. Who knows? Well, I found a scan of the transmission service section of the shop manual, and it says explicitly add 4 liters and then start the engine and then cycle through all the positions and then add as needed. So we're gonna stay with gallon, and we're gonna let it sit for a week, and then we'll fill it up. And I mean, a liter's like 4 liters would be like what, like 4 and an 1/8 gallon. So 1 and an 1/8 gallon. So we'll just let it slide. And yep, just gonna let this sit for the next week. Let it, go into all the various passages and whatnot, and then deal with it next week when we have it off the blocks, unless I figure out something else I need to do while it's on the blocks, but I don't think I need to do anything else. Well, that's it for this week. Got that radiator in finally, got juice in the transmission, got the plugs fixed, and yeah, just tune in next week when we actually take this puppy off of the blocks, test the radiator, see if she does cool. Fill up the transmission, get that running right, and maybe, just maybe, take her out on the road and see if we can find that elusive 4th gear. If you like this kind of stuff, go down there, give me a like, leave a comment, tell me what I did wrong, tell me what I did right, tell me what you want me to see, or tell me what you want me to do, tell me what you don't want me to do, all that good stuff. And if you want to see more of this garbage, you gotta subscribe. So smash that subscribe button, and until next time, time out.